Barcelona's difficult summer just got a lot more stressful as there has been a call for a vote of no confidence in the current board. After failing to sign Liverpool's Philippe Coutinho, Barcelona's board now face an even more serious problem with this potential vote of no confidence. The call has been made by Barcelona member Agustí Benedetto, and should it go through, then the board could find themselves being forced out of a job. But first, what is a vote of no confidence? How does it work? Simply put, if a Barcelona member feels that the president and/or board of Barcelona isn't acting in the club's best interest or is harming the club, they can call for a vote of no confidence to remove them. While most clubs are owned by a business or an oligarch or even a country masquerading as a business, hello PSG and Manchester City, Barcelona are owned by their members, and their presidents are elected, so they can be removed. All the accusing member, in this case Agustí Benedetto, has to do is officially call for a vote. The board will then acknowledge this call and release forms to be filled out. Benedetto then has 14 working days to gather signatures from 15% of the club's members, which includes many of the players, to show that there is sufficient support for his motion. With Barca's membership totaling 110,648, that means Benedetto needs 16,570 signatures. If he gets them, then the vote moves to the second stage, where 66% of the voters must agree that the board needs to be removed. If that happens, the board will step down in elections to find a new president and board will be called. Why is this happening? Partly because Josep Bartomeu and his regime have presided over one of the most startling declines in footballing history. Bartomeu originally was Sandro Rosel's vice president, and Rosell was elected in 2010 and later resigned in 2014, which is when Bartomeu took over, when Barca were far and away the best team in the world. Since then, this board have driven away Pep Guardiola and allowed the unique brilliance of Barcelona, with a Cruyffist mentality and the trust in the youth of La Masia, to waste away, and Barcelona are now just another superclub. Sure, they've won trophies, but they've lost their soul. More seriously than results on the pitch, however, are Bartomeu's legal problems. Bartomeu should resign, he is out of control. We are facing a really important institutional crisis and must act, Benedetto said as he left the camp now after officially calling for the vote. When Bartomeu was facing prosecution for evading taxes during the signing of Neymar, he cut a deal with the prosecutors where he and Sandro Rosell were exonerated, and a fine of €5.5 million was to be paid by the club and not them. The pair avoided jail time thanks to this deal and placed the punishment for their crimes onto the club itself. An incredibly pernicious act that Benedetto hasn't forgotten. Has this happened before? Yes. In 2008, after 2 years of sporting failure, a vote of no confidence was called against Joan Laporta by club member Oriol Giralt. Laporta had overseen Barcelona's revival into a world force, but had become paranoid, engaged in questionable sponsorship deals, and fallen out with many of his directors and vice presidents. A vote was called and it passed to the second stage, where Laporta barely survived. 60% of the vote called for him to leave, but it was less than the required 66%, so he stayed. However, the vote was a huge blow to his standing, and many of his directors, including Ferran Soriano, now president of Manchester City, and Marc Ingler, now president of Lille, left the club. Laporta stayed and of course oversaw the building of the greatest team in the world under Pep Guardiola. What next? Now we wait and see if Benedetto can gather the signatures necessary. He's picked a very smart time to call for the vote, as in the next 14 days Barcelona play 2 massive home games against Espanyol and Juventus. That means fans at the stadium and plenty of chances for votes to be cast. And as this vote will come at the start of the season after the transfer window has shut, Bartomeu can rely on the genius of his players assigning a big name to raise his standing in people's eyes and help him win, as he did in 2015 when the club's treble and his signing of Arda Turan are why he won the presidential election. In fact, his transfer window has been something of a disaster, and their failure to sign Coutinho could create enough frustration to help Agustí Benedetto get the signatures he needs.